very casual. Oh goodness, I did a podcast with Ryan Madgers the other day.
Oh yeah,
And
nice.
he rocked up shirtless, so I took my shirt off as well. And then in all the clips, we just look naked. So I don't know
Very
if that's going
right.
to get us more views or less, but that guy is shirtless 24/7 right now.
Yeah, yeah, he is. He's coming back to Melbourne, I hear too.
Yeah, well, he moved to
Costa Rica.
he moved to Los Angeles first, in the middle of a very difficult time to travel, and then he went to Texas, and then he went to Costa Rica. Now he's
Yeah,
coming back to Melbourne. Whirlwind.
crazy.
Flies by the seat of his pants, that guy, and I love him. So we'll do a little intro. Welcome back to the Coaches to the Moon podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I am sitting here today with one of my very good friends, Mr. Johl Dunn. He is how do you even begin to describe Johl? He's a photographer. He's a business and mindset coach for photographers, and he helps people to build their businesses through traditional systems, also some subconscious programming. He's the owner of JD Portrait Art Studio in Melbourne, and he's the father to 3 beautiful children. Johl, thanks for being here, mate.
Pleasure. Great intro. Well done. Love it.
Thank you. Thank you. I know all about you, Johl.
Nailed
I know all
it.
about you. I know what I know organically, and we've done some digging as well. But you're everywhere. You've got a great business, and you're doing a lot of stuff these days. You're doing webinars for other people. You're you're finding, even in this remote working environment we've fallen into, you're still building your network pretty well.
Yeah, really. Look, to be honest, it sort of ramped up a lot in a lot of, like, when I was before COVID, a lot of my coaching calls were done on a phone, and then Zoom obviously became a big thing, and it was totally game changer for my business, because when you're coaching, Zoom's such a great platform, because you can really connect to someone and you can see what emotions are coming up and that sort of thing. So from a coaching perspective, it's fantastic. But also to get to a wider audience with different webinars and seminars, a lot of stuff you do in person, you had to do, online, and it's got its limitations, but it was quite good to reach a wider audience as well.
I think it's got less limitations when you lean into it. You realize, I was on a podcast just before with a guy in Thailand, and now on a podcast with you in Melbourne, and I'm speaking at an event in Brisbane in March. I've actually got to fly to Brisbane. Haven't done that. It seems like such a lot of effort. Whereas, you're doing webinars for Studio Ninja to people around the world from Melbourne, and it's, so there's definitely face-to-face connection. But I think we're all so used to it. Like my kids, and I'm sure your kids, now they're just as used to FaceTiming their cousins as they are to seeing them in person.
100%. And before COVID, a lot of the speaking I was doing was to Victoria, or to photographers in Victoria and associations in Victoria. But now, with Studio Ninja, one this morning, I think there was about 6-7 different countries in Europe, people on there, New Zealand, America, and Australia. So it was, within an hour, you can talk to 50 people in all different continents. So it's pretty cool.
Very cool. Very cool. And you don't even need to use your private jet, Johl.
No, I could wear, it's so hot here. I had shorts on, so you can't see anything, and you look professional still, and wear your shorts and thongs, and away you go.
100%. I had to close my window for the podcast because my babies are playing outside and they're loud, but it gets so hot in here during my podcasts. And if I start missing up a little bit, it's half because of the weather and half because I'm just so impressed by everything you're saying, Johl. So, dude, first topic I want to talk about is that you, like me, you're a lifestyle guy. You want to grow a business that helps to facilitate extra time and freedom with your beautiful family. I'm the same. I'm building an agency so I can, work from home, clock off early, hang out with them, and I'll put my foot down when I choose to. A lot of our friends and people in the coaching space, they're very much into building a business as big as possible. You're a mindset coach. You're a business coach. You have seen big and smaller businesses. Do you believe there's a different way to approach building a lifestyle business versus a growth business? Or do you think it's just a case of taking more action?
It's a good question. Yeah, I've had a photography business for 19 years, and I've been where I was working 80, 90 hours a week, 7 days a week, and it just burnt me out. It wasn't fun anymore, and I wasn't seeing my kids, so it wasn't working. So I created I guess, created a business that was working for me, which is what I call, very holistic business. So everything encapsulated with kids, family, time for you, exercise, health, everything, holidays. So that's what I try to do with my clients now is we really sit down and articulate what's important to them and structure what I call non-negotiables in. So non-negotiables like family time, exercise, holidays, different things. And what I've started doing, which I've done this year, last 2 years has been irrelevant, but I've booked all my holidays in for the year already. So there's 6 holidays booked in, 4 with the family, 2 sort of for work, and they're all done now. So everything revolves around that. And it's super important because life's short. You want to enjoy it. You don't want to be working the whole time. So creating systems and processes in your business so you've got time to do that and make really good money is totally available to people if you know how to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that leverage that you've created, that sort of semi-automated version of it, what we were talking about before about scheduling certain days per week where you don't do phone calls, you're not client facing, that kind of stuff's massive. And I suppose that if you were just to try and grow that business as fast as possible, you just work those days instead, maybe take 5 holidays a year instead of 6, Joel. And just put more hours into it, because those systems that you're creating for your lifestyle business, they're actually scalable as well as leverageable.
100%. And I always go to I'm of the opinion of you can work the same hours and make more money. You just got to charge more for what you're doing and create more value for your clients. So when I started coaching, I'm 3 times the price I was back then, but I'm getting more clients and they're happier and they're getting better results. So every time you up that game, you can just up what you're charging when you become valuable to your clients and they're still making really good money from what you're teaching them, in my case. Yeah.
No, I think that's so true. And the distinction is you raise your prices, you get a better quality of client, you get them better results. However, you've got to actually do a lot more qualification for clients. And I know that you don't work with heaps of people at once. So how do you qualify your clients to work with you? And were there any experiences that led you to that decision-making process?
100%. Like when I started, I just worked with anyone. If they wanted to work with me, yeah, cool, let's come on board. And I soon found that some people, either I didn't enjoy coaching them as much or they weren't as aligned, because I'm a little different in the photography space as a coach. I talk about spirituality, energy, meditation, things that some people are just like, they think is total bullshit, right? Which is fair enough, but they're not my client. So I have to feel really aligned with someone and know they're going to take action, know they're going to be open to concepts I'm teaching them to get the results. So I have a sort of like a process where I have a couple of discovery calls, if you want, with them to make sure I feel it's a good fit. And obviously they do too, because it's quite one-on-one. And yeah, I don't take on a lot of clients. So I want to make sure they're going to A, get results, and B, I'm going to enjoy coaching them and they're going to do the work to get the results as well. Yeah, very important.
How does the conversation go when you decide that someone isn't right for you?
Yeah, you just be very upfront. And I just say, look, I don't think this is in alignment with what you're wanting, or I'll say, you're not ready. Come back, do this, this, and this, and come back in 6 months and let's have a chat. But, for one example, I was talking about what I do and spirituality and the mindset stuff. And he goes, look, that's all fine. And I don't need that. I just want marketing. I said, cool. Well, I'm not the coach for you. Go. And I gave him, another coach who does marketing. I gave him his details because it wasn't going to be in alignment. Because in my opinion, you can't do marketing unless you've got the mindset and the other stuff nailed first, because that makes the marketing easy or easier.
Yeah. Which one do you work on first? Because your website, if you go into your website, it says, I help photographers build their business through marketing and sales, and also through reprogramming their subconscious. What do you approach first when working with a new client, and why do you do that?
Firstly, I like to set up really powerful habits and structures for them. What I mean by that, it like structures in their business, obviously, but also like a morning ritual, meditations, gratitude practices, sometimes journaling, depending on the client. These things that you're doing consistently daily, health stuff as well, to rewire how they're showing up every day. So they're becoming more powerful, more aligned, more productive, and more open to new concepts, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That's that, then goal setting to work out where we're going and why, the why, and then we move into marketing sales. Once what I call, I'd say the foundation level, because you're the business as the photographer, generally you are the business, and how whatever's going on up here is affecting your marketing, it's affecting your sales, your money blocks, all that sort of stuff. So it's crucial to get that done first before you move into the marketing and sales aspects.
Do you believe that everyone needs to work on their personal development first before working on the tangible business stuff?
100%. Like, I've been working on personal development stuff for the last 12 years and consistently and a lot. And I'm still just scratching the surface. Like, I've got way more to learn myself. It's a never-ending evolution of you think you've found everything out, and then there's another thing, and you're sort of building out your awareness and consciousness with this stuff. And it's fascinating. I find it fascinating. Everyone should be working. If everyone worked on this shit, the world would be much better place, I think. And there'd be a lot less conflict, a lot less bullshit, a lot less polarity with everything going on. But yeah, short answer is yes.
How funny are all the coaches at the moment who their whole Facebook page is just complaining and just negativity and just freaking just whatever your opinions are on this concept, just articles and topics and memes about vaccines and conspiracy theories. Like, how is this how you're advertising your business? Where are you getting your clients from? All you do is fucking complain.
It blows my mind, to be honest. Like, I don't care where people sit with topics like the vaccine or whatever, but there's other people on there, pushing their agendas and like really, fear and really one-sided with stuff. Like, nothing's ever one-sided. There's always two sides to a coin, and it's sort of irrelevant to me what people want to do with that sort of thing. But yeah, as a coach, you shouldn't be just throwing out content like that. It's very polarizing. It's not helping the business at all.
Yeah, it's polarizing. I don't see these people as a role model, and it's just bad marketing. It's just like, you don't post about, you can post about what football team you like, demons, but you don't consistently just go on about the results of your football team on your business page. People are doing that this year, and like a lot of people in this quote coaching industry, it's become, shone a light on a lot of people. Gary Vee says that social media is a magnifying glass, right? This magnifies who you are. And I think in the last 2 years has been a magnifying glass onto how lovely your coach really is and how sorted out they are.
100%. Like, I'm big on, like, social media can be amazing, can be really bad as well. So you got to balance it. And I unfollowed and unfriended, but just didn't want to see the posts that kept coming up all the time, because I have to get on for business and stuff. And the stuff that I just had to block that, because it's just any negative energy you're consuming all the time does affect you. So the less you can bring into your awareness, the better. So, and I know a lot of people have just totally zoned out of Facebook altogether. Like, my wife hasn't been on Facebook for like 5 or 6 months because she was just going on and going, this is all fear and anger and rubbish. And so she's much better off not getting on there. She's happy.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. You're a guy, you understand, how the mind works pretty well. You understand how people work. Why is it so compelling to go down these negative rabbit holes late at night?
In some sadistic way, as humans, we love that. We love drama. We love to go down that fear path. And I'm not sure, I don't know exactly why, but there's something we're drawn to with that sort of stuff. And it's an innate thing in our brain. Like, the brain always goes to the negative before it goes to a positive. Like, we always think to the future, and we always think of what's going to go wrong, not what's going to go right. So part of the stuff I do with my people I coach is to really try to rewire their brain for positivity and to look for positive. And that's really simple things like gratitude practices, meditation. Those things really rewire what's going on. When you continually do it as a habit, to become more positive, or just see the positive in the world, and to visualize what you can achieve, not what's going to get in your way.
Yeah, yeah, that is a good foundation for anyone, let alone a business owner. Super duper
Yeah.
important to say, okay, these are the goals for the business this year, but I've got no idea how I'm going to manage it. Or these are the goals for the business this year, and it doesn't matter how I manage it, but I will. It's a very different flip, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
being scared of a goal because you think you can't achieve it, or being scared of a goal because you think you can. It's a funny one. I'm there. You know, it's January when we record this. Everyone's writing their goals for the year. People are being asked that. What's your business goals for this year? And you're like, okay, this is my kind of monthly revenue target. Shit, that's a bit scary. But if you think that that's never going to happen because of X, Y, and Z, then I believe whether it's law of attraction or universe or energy or chakras, whatever makes you tick, I really think that just positivity and belief, it does come down to that, however you choose to get there.
Yeah, and the thing with goal setting that people don't, everyone tries, like you set a big goal and you're like, it's overwhelming. Like, how am I going to get there? And then you break it down, but all you have to do is know the next step. And then when you get to that next step, usually the next step or two will show itself, and et cetera, et cetera. And that's why I really, with my clients, we work on intuition a lot. And intuition's like that little whisper or thing that tells you to do something, or you're feeling you need to be pulled towards somewhere. It might just be to call someone or do this. And when you follow that, it magically shows you the way to get to where you want to go. But you've got to hear it and you've got to follow it. And when you do, like, that's where these amazing things can happen in your life. Like the amount of times I've set goals, like I remember in the first lockdown of 2020, what was it, March? I think we locked down in Melbourne. It's like hard to remember. Yeah. In March, we locked down, and like, both businesses went to shit. Like everyone just lost it, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't sign up any coaching clients in March, April, May, or June.
Wow.
And then so I set a target in July. All right. I thought at the time, if I can get 10 clients in the last half of the year, last 5 months, then I'll be over, I'll be stoked. And I'm like, I always tell my clients, think big, like that's bullshit. So I fuck it, 26, let's make it 26. And at that stage, I had zero, I thought that was impossible pretty much. But I'm just going to put it out there, wrote it, put the steps down and just read it every day. And then I put it away after a few months and didn't get it out till December. And we signed up 28 clients in the last 5 months. And if you had to ask me back then, how was that? I thought it was impossible because I hadn't signed up a client for 4 or 5 months. But when you put the seed out there and you start following it, it's amazing what can happen.
Beautiful, man. 28 clients in 5 months.
Yeah, it was hectic. Yeah, it was hectic. It's probably too many looking back. Yeah. But the photography business was shut, so I didn't have to really do much because of lockdowns, and I was dealing with a lot of clients from New Zealand and America who were open. Not many Australian clients because everyone was in lockdown on the eastern states anyway. So it was really, it was great timing.
That's awesome timing, man. I love it. So what sort of the way I approach my personal development, all right, I hate to talk about myself, I'm going to bring it back to you, is because the way I approach my personal development, it often changes depending on who I'm listening to at the time and what I think I need. At the moment, I'm listening to a lot of kind of army, military veterans, tough guys who have had really hard stories, and they just kind of get stuff done, and they have a really stoic mindset of just discipline and getting stuff done. And that for me is quite powerful because with, when my kids came along and running the business from home and lockdown, it's pretty easy to just kind of let life flow and just to accept that some things are difficult. And now I'm listening to these military guys. I'm just kind of, okay, when the alarm goes off, I wake up and I hit my steps every day and I work out every day, no matter what. But it does change. Who are you listening to at the moment? And do you find that you have some practices that are consistent and some that change depending on where your head's at?
Yeah, 100%. So I'm the same. I'm always trying to find content, whether it's podcasts. I've got like 1,000 books. I've got about 8 books on my bedside table at the moment to try to get through, and I always buy books when I see them. At the moment, a lot of the books I'm reading are more around spirituality. I'm reading some stuff on past life stuff, like really out there sort of things, and also about mindset stuff around creating joy and letting go of fear and all these sort of concepts. And I find you can go down a rabbit hole with a book and concept or a podcast and you keep following that journey. Ayahuasca, like I've booked in to do that later in the year. I listen to Aubrey Marcus podcast a lot and Joe Rogan. I like his stuff. There's one in Australia called the Vulnerability Podcast, is that the Resilience Project podcast, which is really cool. There's a few I always sort of go between, but it's mostly, to do with that mindset, spirituality, science-based spirituality, I guess you call it, and sort of combine it. I just like there's one that's like totally out there, which is called Journey of the Souls, which I just finished, which is all about when you die, what happens between your lives and stuff. So it's pretty out there, right? It's like, it's got nothing to do with coaching, but I just find that stuff fascinating just to get it could be bullshit, right? But it could be true as well. So I like to keep an open mind on those things and don't take it all at face value, but take what I get out of it, I guess, or, the things I like about it.
Yeah. So when you approach these pretty far out topics like past life regression and what happens between life and death, that sort of thing, how does that then affect the way you show up in your business day to day?
I think it gives a different perspective. Like when you read that sort of stuff, it makes, and you look into astrology and the solar system, those sort of things, it makes our problems, what we're going through, very small and minute, right?
Yeah.
And I say to my clients, if they're worried or stressed about something, okay, ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years? This thing you're dealing with now, will you even remember it? And 99 times out of 100 is no, right? So it puts your problems and your stresses and anxieties into perspective, I think, reading these far-flung ideas, whether true or not. And I think that helps manage the stress of a situation or let go of things a bit easier.
Big zoom out to see how big this life really is.
Yeah, like I can't remember who said it, but like we're on this tiny dot rotating in the middle of fucking nowhere. And you're allowed to swear on this podcast.
Well, it doesn't matter anymore, does it, Joel?
When you look into the solar system, just things like that, we're so minute compared to the whole ecosystem. So your little problem about a client that didn't pay you or you didn't get your sales average this month or whatever, let it go, right? It's just, we stress about things that don't really matter, in the scheme of things. So, I have to take that advice more than anyone because I stress about stuff but it's good to know that and to come back to that when you're being stressed or you're anxious about something.
Easier said than done, but yes, I agree. I'm a big cosmology guy. I love space, like you said, hurtling through this potentially infinite universe on a ball of lava that's crusted on the outside. And they say the last numbers that I heard there's about 200 billion planets in a galaxy and about 2 trillion galaxies in the known universe. And so that speeding fine is not the biggest issue that's going on.
No, it's the more I read into, I guess, the spirituality side as well, the more I think that, where everyone's got a mission, I guess, or, a purpose. And it's about finding what that purpose is and following it and then just enjoying the ride as much as you can.
Yeah, dude. Did you have a business before you had kids?
Yeah, so I've had the photography business since I was 22. So yeah. I've had that for 19 years now. So it probably all changed when I had kids, though, because I used to work a lot and my wife worked a lot. So it didn't matter. But once you have kids, as you know, everything changes and your priorities change. And all of a sudden, me working 70 hours wasn't what I wanted anymore. I was missing a lot of time with my, my firstborn, the daughter at the time. And yeah, that totally changed the game on what I wanted. And, because I was very head down, bum up driven, money, this success. And then that's still important, but it changed. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so let's talk tangible. What sort of things are you putting in place with your coaching business now that do allow you to leverage your time more, hang out with the family and do things like have 6 holidays a year?
Yeah. So I've still got the photography business, but I've got 2 part-time staff that now pretty much run it. Particularly one of my studio managers, Jacinta. So I do the shoots, and eventually I do a bit of marketing as well, but eventually she'll be doing that. And I'm just, 4 or 5 hours a week doing that. With the coaching business, I only take on a certain amount of clients at a time. And then I've got Jacinta does work in admin work and different things in that as well. So I've got my non-negotiable things in my week, like my exercise and dropping the kids off at school on a Tuesday, picking them up on a Friday. I only work 1 Saturday every 6 weeks in the photography business. So most of my weekends are free. So there's certain parameters I've already put in play to know what I need to fit in, how many hours I got to fit it in.
Mostly just boundary setting.
Boundary setting, 100%.
That's cool. That's cool because, some people would think it's going to be about softwares. You need to integrate things together and all that stuff helps. But end of the day, you can still find yourself, setting up those softwares on a Saturday morning, and missing playground time.
Yeah. And you've got to be able to say no to things. Like there's a lot of power in saying no to, sometimes they might sound like a good opportunity or a new client, or like that, if I'm booked up, it's easy to say yes to another, few $1,000s for a new client but what are you giving away for that as well? You got to really put that into play.
It's always the one you shouldn't have said yes to that causes you the most stress, right?
Yes.
Always that one client who doesn't pay enough, who asks you too many questions, who texts you at 7 a.m. and then again at 9 saying, did you get my email? But yes, let's call her Sharon. Yes, Sharon. We were talking before about a really cool concept that I'd just love to share with the audience, because this was about one of my business coaches saying you have 3, elements to your life. One is when you're on stage, one is when you're backstage, one is when you're off stage. On stage is when you're client facing, you're doing podcasts, you're doing phone calls, you're doing sales and pitches and coaching. Backstage is when you're doing admin, delivery, marketing, computer stuff. And then off stage is when you're off, you switched off. And he was talking about setting boundaries. So Monday and Friday are your backstage days. That's when you're on the computer, you're doing stuff, and you're not in and out of calls. Tuesday to Thursday, you can put your energy into people. And then Saturday and Sunday, you can switch off. So we just learned that together just before. How do you think you're going to be able to implement those sorts of things?
Yeah, I love that concept. And like I was saying to you, I've already worked out I need a day a week with no client interaction, whether both businesses, no shoots, no client meetings, no webinars, no coaching sessions. That's a Friday for me at the moment. I put it at a Friday purely because I want the flexibility. If we want to go away for a long weekend, for example, I know I've never got anything on a Friday. And then I like the concept of doing it on a Monday as well. Because as we're talking, when you're client facing on stage, it can be really draining because you're giving a lot of energy. So you've only got so much energy to give. So you've got to really protect that as well. And I love the concept of, I'm doing 4 days at the moment. I might try that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday deal.
I'm going to try it as well. Yeah. I think you do have the benefit of having a long weekend when you want to. And as lifestyle guys, as family guys, that's great for us. But also, I mean, I've always got, because I run a service-based business where there's a lot of delivery involved, I so often have stuff to do, an ad to do, a landing page to build, or a website. And I'm just in and out of people booking podcasts like you did. You're like, I'm booked in for tomorrow. So well, there goes my hour, So I think boundary setting, planning, and certain days of the week where there's no contact with the outside world, you can go in your hole and do all the things. You can get so much work done when you're not talking to people. Hey,
100%, because you don't have, like, even if you got one appointment, you got in the back of your mind, you got to stop at 11 to get ready for your 11:30 to do it, and then blah blah. But I got this thing which is really cool. So when I've got a day, I work in half-hour blocks or 25-minute blocks, and this is like a 30-minute timer.
Yeah,
like it's a bit more zen than your alarm going off. You don't need it, but you do a 30-minute, 25 minutes, 5-minute break, 25 minutes, 5-minute break, and it's amazing how quickly and efficiently you can get stuff done. Because if you go too long, you dawdle a bit or you get distracted. But knowing you only got 25 minutes really focuses you in on getting shit done quickly without emails and text messages and stuff going off.
Yeah, the Pomodoro technique. Yeah.
Correct. Pomodoro
technique. I was talking to a guy before about that very thing about an hour ago on a podcast as well. So that's I wrote 70% of my book that way and then stopped because babies got sick, and then it's hidden in my Google Docs somewhere. But that's a great technique. So what time of the day do you feel is most productive for you to sit down and do 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off?
Morning.
Yeah.
Morning. Like I have Fridays, for example, when I have no clients, I'll go to the gym. This is before COVID. Now I'm just getting back into it. So I go to the gym at 6 till 7, shower, then go to a cafe from sort of 7:30 till 10 or 9:30 and 10, and knock out a heap of work there. Just different environment, just gets your creativity going, I think, because then I come back home and then I'll knock out, have a little break, and then I'll knock out some of that from like 11 till 2 or 3, and then that's me done for the day. I'll pick the kids up from school. Leave at 3.
That's hectic.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, as a guy, because you've got a brick and mortar business, you've got a photography studio. I used to own a cafe. How much money are you spending whilst taking up a seat from 7:30 to 10 in a cafe, Joel? You buying one coffee? You buying two? You buying breakfast?
Breakfast and a coffee.
That's fine. You don't buy a latte and take up a seat for 3 hours, dickhead.
No, exactly. I'm very wary of that. So when I go, I make sure I always buy a breakfast. I go for breakfast and a coffee every time.
Yeah.
And I've been going to the same cafe for years. Yeah.
Yeah. So they'll love you. They won't mind that at all.
Yeah.
But I used to work in a busy place, and all the tables were four-seat tables. And one woman every day would come in and order a tea and be there for hours.
$3 tea.
Yeah, 100%. You don't have a chair at home. You don't have a kettle. So I understand the working in a cafe thing, changing environments. Obviously, we haven't been able to do that for a while. And now you might have to wear a freaking mask to do it, or maybe you don't because who knows? I stopped going to my co-working space because there was a time when you could still go, but you had to wear a mask when you were there. And I'm on camera so much. Tough stuff, man. So just the spare room for me right now. Same. But so mornings are important for you. Mornings are good for you. That's really, really cool. So do you when you talk to clients and you're coaching clients on kind of your routines, do you kind of try and get them to follow the way you run your business, or do you just let them apply it to however their life is?
Yeah, for sure. Like I give them concepts and processes and structures, and then they take them and implement to what suits them in their business. Some are very universal, some that need their personality or their own flavor to it, I guess. The one thing I really hone in on though is the morning ritual, like the meditation, the stuff that I get them to do is like, that's a non-negotiable. Like that's right. You have to do that. You have to try that. Yeah. So, if you do it for a month and it's not for you, cool. But I don't think I've ever had anyone say this is totally shit by the time they do it and see the results from it. Yeah.
It is massive. Mornings is huge. I've not got any mornings at the moment because they're so at the mercy of when my babies wake up. So, sometimes they'll wake up at 6:30 and I'll get up at 6 and I've got like 20 minutes just to make a coffee and brush my teeth and stand outside for 5 minutes. Sometimes it's 4:55. We are up for the day. And you just never know. So I've lost my mornings for a bit. I do my best work between 9 and 11 p.m., funnily enough. And I do the Pomodoro. I sit down for 25 minutes and put on the same Pink Floyd album every time. I have tequila out of the freezer and I write. And I smash out work because no one's calling me, no one's texting me. So, if anything I've learned from this, podcast, which is a lot, I've definitely learned and I've reminded myself of the power of setting blocks of time that are solely focused on doing things rather than trying to create more business or talking to people. Massive. Tangible stuff mixed with intangible is why you are doing so well at this job, because you're not too hardline on either end.
Yeah, there's a good, I think you have to have a bit of a mix, a bit of flexibility. And I think, having structure, but also being open to concepts and mindset and spirituality stuff and combining those is super fucking powerful, like really powerful.
What would you say to someone who is, they're a business person and they want to scale, but they're a little old school and they're really into systems, processes, marketing and sales. And you say to them, you got to work on your mindset a little bit. And they're just, really not into it. They think it's all a bunch of hooey. What do you say to them?
Okay, so you'd sit down with them, and I think when you're working at your best, you're what I call in a flow state, right? So flow state's like when you're in an energy field of like love, joy, and peace, right? So that's when everything in life and business just seems to be flowing, and just things are working out. And it's really, we've all been there. Sometimes you're in there for a day, other times for a week or two, and then there's like the restrictive space where it's like anger, guilt, shame, fear, stress, anxiety. You go, okay, where are you placed most of the time? Majority of those people are placed in that restrictive space. So everything's a push, everything's hard work, right? So it takes twice the effort to get results, where when you're in flow state, it's no effort. It's almost like things land in your lap. Like we were talking before about a client I recommended, and then they recommended a client, and they recommended a client, just flowed, right? That's flow state. So I'd say to them, do you want to get in flow state a bit more? Do you want to learn how to get into that state so you're not working so hard for the money? And I was in the restrictive space for a long time in my business, like a long fucking time. And then now I'd say I'm more in the flow state because it takes habit, it takes work, and it takes, working on yourself to get there. But it's brilliant when you can. It's what it's all about.
Getting into flow state. That's a really, really good, tangible way of selling a hardline person on opening their mind a bit to these concepts, which is cool. And like it's you keep reminding me of stuff, man, because I've absolutely let business and life get in the way of all my personal development.
We all do.
Yeah. And I'm fine. Actually, my business is in a better place than ever, but my mindset's not always there. And turning the news off fucking helps. but that's step one. And it's going for walks and keeping up with your exercise routines, keeping promises to yourself, I find is massive. No matter how many promises you're keeping, tell yourself you're going to hit your 10,000 steps a day, or you're going to, not drink tonight, that sort of thing. Keeping those promises is enormous. And so, it's a very generic question, but do you have any New Year's promises that you're trying to keep for yourself?
Yeah, look, this year is probably more about fitness and health, and I'm a creature of habit. So when the lockdowns hit and I couldn't go to the gym, and my habits were, and the kids weren't at school, so your routines are all out. That threw me a bit. So my exercise, I did boxing twice a week, and I just wasn't doing it because I work better if I get up, go to a gym, and people tell me what to do, or you're in a program, or you got a boxing partner, and you just do it. When I'm left to my own devices, I don't do it as much. So I walked a lot, but my fitness wasn't where I want to be. So that's my aim this year: fitness and like my eating habits and health, getting that back on track.
Great, man. Yeah, that's awesome. Sounds like a lot of fun. You've built a beautiful, beautiful business model where you're able to focus on stuff like that. You don't seem like you're working massively hard for every sale and every dollar, and that is definitely a life that I imagine most people want to get to. So I'm glad that you've done that, man. Thank you so much for coming on the conversation today, Joel. It's been a lot. It's got 45 minutes has just flown by.
Wow. Yeah, it has.
I don't know when.
We're in flow state.
We're in flow state. We're in flow state. There's a lot to talk about, and I think we've covered a lot of stuff. And I'm very aware of the fact that neither of us are famous enough for people to listen to us for over an hour these days. So
one day
you're getting there. You're getting there. You're speaking all over the world, but I don't have that ego on me just yet for these 3-hour podcast sessions. That
as long as it helps one person, it doesn't really matter, does it?
It doesn't matter at all. And you know what? I think this one has massively helped me. So I'd like to thank you for that, Joel, because I've been hoping to get you on for a while, and here we are. And you're a guy. Your kids are between what, like 9 and 13?
5, 9, and 11.
5'9", 11. Yeah. So you've come out the other side of where I'm at right now, and you're still smiling. You're still looking great. You look younger than me, and so
there's a lot of grey in here that mightn't be showing up.
Oh, you are killing it. You're wearing it well, brother. You're wearing it really well. So yeah, this has been hugely valuable for me, and I'm sure it's been really helpful for a lot of people listening, man. And I absolutely wish you the best of luck with, brick and mortar and online stuff as the world keeps throwing shit at us every other day.
No, I appreciate it. It's been heaps of fun chatting to you, and I love what you're doing with the business, and love listening to the podcast that you throw out there.
Thank you, Joel. It's been a pleasure, man. Well, I'll speak to you soon, man. And for anyone who's still listening, I'll be back in a few days' time with another episode of Coaches to the Moon podcast. Thank you